we're broadcasting.
Excellent. I like it. Bluebeard's getting to me already today. So as mentioned, I can't see anything, so my reaction is going to be.
You can't see comments?
I can't see. Honestly, my computer just gave me the white screen of death. So I see two. I literally see I got two monitors, and on this one over here, there's like the outline. What sticky notes would be, like a digital or electronic sticky notes, and then on the bottom left-hand side over, just thing that's got the little X on it, like if you wanted to close out your tab or something, which I'm scared to touch. I'm wondering if that is our broadcast here, so I'm just gonna we'll do what we got to do. As long as you can hear me and we're good, I'm good.
Yep, I just need to see the comments here. Yep, we're good.
All right. So what's good and exciting on your end? It's been a little over a week.
It's slow
now.
Reacting over here. What's new and exciting?
Mm-hmm.
No, just keeping up with the Walking Dead.
Yeah, what are you on now? What season?
Season 6. Season 6, which is kind of weird. It's a weirder one. But I didn't watch it last night. I went to bed early and slept for a lot of hours today. So I was the non-waking dead.
Yeah, but maybe I'm fresh now at this point then, so that should be
I gotta tell you, man, my dreams nowadays, I'm remembering everything, and it's pretty wild.
Yeah?
Pretty wild. Ron says hi.
So
we're gonna get going here in a little bit. I'm the Fresh Prince tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Speaking of dreams, I got a weird one for you, and I don't really recall. Like, I can never really remember to we are, right? But maybe 3 or 4 nights ago, when you're having a dream and like in your dream you want to yell or you want to like talk really loud, your voice just won't come out. Like you feel like you're just trying and trying. You ever get that feeling?
No.
Okay. Well,
I pretty much control my dreams.
Right. That's fantastic. I know that I the only reason I get that feeling is because my wife Tiff, she woke me up because she said I kept screaming. I was screaming in the voice of a little child, and I kept screaming the word "help me." And I remember in my dream needing help for some reason and trying to say that, but he woke me up. It was like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. That's all I remember about the dream, but thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah, you're cutting out pretty bad.
Can you maybe do a voiceover on my side here so I can pull everything up and see if the internet gets better?
Do a voiceover?
Yeah, just keep everybody happy. I'm gonna be right back. I'm just gonna reboot my computer.
I could sing.
Perfect.
I don't know who all is on here. I think it's just Ron. What up, Ron? So as we wait for Nicholas here, I don't have too much stories to tell. It's been a pretty slow week. Just getting ready, prepared to go back to work on June 1st. Yeah, that's about it. Nope, actually, I'm getting out of the flea market business. I'm gonna close up shop for a year and focus on the work and being part of the Moose Board, Harvard Moose. So we got a company, or we have a Harvard Milk Days coming up, and they got a parade and everything like that. So, what's up, Greg? Nick is going to be joining us here shortly. But this is a story all about how I'm the Fresh Prince of Harvard. Nick was having some internet issues. Up there he comes back.
Yeah, were you singing?
I was doing some Beatles tunes.
Oh, I was like expecting you to be like, Overture, hit the lights, this is it. Carrying on with that one. Uh,
I don't know
that's,
that one.
that's from Bugs Bunny. I know what heights will hit. Never mind. Let's. That's enough of that.
I don't know who Bugs Bunny is. I think I ate Bugs Bunny.
That's funny because my wife was asking me the other day if I would ever eat rabbit. I'm like, hell yeah, I'd eat a rabbit. Sounds delicious.
That flashes back to the Paranormal Pickers video. If you go on Ghost Head Soup YouTube, you'll find a great little spoof that Nick and I did and Tim, of course, of Paranormal State. We call it Paranormal Streakers. And there was that line in there that says, I don't know who Elfie is. I think I ate her.
Got my turkey leg, right? Got my rabbit leg.
Jesus Christ, got my turkey leg. So maybe we'll do what do you call that show? The Mystery 3000. The mystery. They sit up and they watch the movies and then they criticize the movies. Science mystery or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly the name of it, but I know the premise of what you're talking about. We could be
I think we should do that with our video.
We should like like the two old guys in the Muppets.
Because Tim and I still don't know what this is my third pair of shoes this week meant.
I don't know where that came from either.
So you don't even know either. So
right. I think I think it had to do with the type of character, Ryan is. Like I at the time we were recording that, maybe I thought he was like vain or, went through a lot of different outfits and stuff. I don't know. So maybe he was like ruins a lot of clothing when he's out on an investigation.
So he's like Cher of the paranormal.
Yeah. You got to go through like 4 wardrobe changes before you even like finish the show. I guess that's one way to make it seem like it's multiple days if you record in like, hours. But
he's got nothing on Fresh Prince and No Beard over here.
Right. Speaking of No Beard and Fresh Prince, is my connection better? I hope.
It sounds wonderful.
Okay, fantastic. That's what I was hoping.
You never sounded better.
Right. Well, I've probably never sounded worse either. So it's right. There's the old joke. I'm not drinking anymore. Well, I'm not drinking any less either. But certainly. So at any rate, exciting episode as usual. We've got what are we on? Season 10 already, or season 1, episode 9 or episode 10, something like that.
10.
Episode 10. Fantastic. That's great to know we've gone this far. Well, we got one that's near and dear to my heart. Talking about aptly titled here, Bluebeard. Bluebeard is a name. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
I was just
when I think of Bluebeard, I think of a man who marries and kills wives. So like you marry and then you kill her, and then you marry and you kill. So Bluebeard is that play where a man marries and kills one wife after another. That's Bluebeard.
I don't know that I had ever heard that, but it makes sense.
It's the Bluebeard play.
That may have been part of the origination of the naming of this entity that we're going to discuss. It may have. I don't know. And the thing I was so my wife was telling me I was sweating this episode before we came on because I've been racking my brain trying to find the history on the property where my parents still reside. They bought the farm.
Oh, they still live there.
Yeah, they still live there. And I grew up there. I think we moved there when I was like, I want to say right before I got into high school, maybe 14 years old. So it's been their place for 26 years. But we'll get into some of the history on it. That was what I was racking my brain. I couldn't find, I couldn't even establish. Go ahead.
Are your parents serial killers by chance? I mean, because what I'm reading here is Bluebeard is it's not based on a true story, but it's based on a Perrault's. Bluebeard was influenced partly by a real life story of Gilles de Ras a 15th century pedophile and child murderer, and the word Bluebeard is now shorthand for serial killer.
Really?
The character's shadowy presence has long haunted works of art, music, and literature the world over.
That's interesting because I'm taking note. You might see how this ties in.
So we'll find out if this
I don't
is
know if they're serial killers. They've eaten a lot of Frosted Flakes and Cinnamon Toast Crunch in their day, but as far as murderers, none that I know of yet. But philanthropers, potentially. Any rate.
And you're the offspring.
One of 5, actually.
It's always one of 5, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm number 4 of 5. So I was always the forgotten one when it came to the family. You know, you get the middle child as my sister. She's the only girl, so she got anything she ever wanted. Then you got my 2 older brothers and me and my younger brother. The oldest is obviously the favorite because he's the firstborn, and then the youngest is also a favorite because he's the youngest.
He's the baby. He's baby.
He's the baby. Mm-hmm. And oh, is he? Oh, is he? That's for sure.
But you were probably his terror.
Oh, I no. Him and I actually got along quite well.
But if you wrestled him, you'd win.
Then. Right. I don't know about now, but then for sure he's
330 packs later.
Right, he's pretty fit and young still. And kudos to him. He's actually getting married this year.
Hey, congratulations!
Congratulations or condolences. It depends on the day. I want to say he's 4 years younger than I am. No, maybe 3 years. So that would put him at 37, and his bride-to-be is 25. So he's got some vitality to him. That's why I don't want to wrestle him. High five to him. Right?
So who is this shadowy presence we're talking about?
So Bluebeard, and little history as to
the music.
Boom, boom, boom. It was a dark and stormy night. Numerous of them. So, a little history that leads into it. I'm glad we talked about the family because every one of my family members has had an encounter or more with Bluebeard. And we'll get into those as the stories evolve. But just give you a history of where we got to where we're at Bluebeard. As I mentioned, 5 young kids. Then you got my parents. And when we started out, we always were on a farm. We rented different farm properties all in the same area, probably within the same 5 miles of each other as to where the farm is, right?
When the grave gets filled, you moved on?
I think so. Or that's where Bluebeard comes in, right? The serial killer comes in. He's like, hey, look, we filled up enough here. We gotta go to the next spot.
It's starting to stink around here, guys. Let's go.
All right. And, always had animals, always had whatnot. And I guess the reason I brought
something.
Gotta feed pigs. You can get rid of almost anything with a pig farm. So they say, right?
No, they do say that. Well, it was true because there was that haunted barn up on Shoe Factory Road over in Elgin, where they had the pig. We drove by here all the time, and there was a pig farm there, and that's where they would throw bodies in there. And there's an episode of what was it, Millennium? Yeah, it had the same thing where they threw the bodies on a pig farm. So yeah, it's
well, then it's possible because each place that we lived, the 3 that I distinctly remember in this area, they were all hog farms. The one that they live on now, they just raise them for meat. They don't, there's maybe a handful of them a year. But the first 2, they were operations, so they had huge hog farms. That's crazy to say. The reason I wanted to bring that up, though, is the area that we grew up in. It was Afton Township, Afton, right? Mm-hmm. And it reminded me that you used to live in Alton, and I grew up in
Alden.
Alden.
Yeah, Alton is down by St. Louis.
Gotcha. Well, Alton's kind of haunted too, but at any rate, yeah, I thought of it was
So they
Afton.
say that's where Troy Taylor lives. So.
well, in Afton, we got the L out and moved the F in. So, so we've got that.
We're here all night. Tip your bartenders.
Hey, is this thing on? So finally, we ended up moving, and settling into the place where my folks are. Now, the reason I brought that up about renting and everything is in trying to figure out where this farm that they bought, where it came from, who owned it and everything, we could never figure out who the owners were. They bought it from a trust. Well, they were renting it from the bank and the trust first, and they bought it from the trust. So I couldn't figure out who the owner of the trust was, couldn't find a year it was built, couldn't find any other names besides the people who rented it before my mom and dad. And we'll get into how we found them and what happened there. But
called Tim.
I would love to call Tim because I was doing a lot of stuff on Ancestry and property record searches. Even when I did a DeKalb County parcel
What takes
search.
me 2 months to find, Tim could find in 2 minutes.
We'll play this clip for him then, because this is out. Actually, pull up if you can. Just pull up one of the photos that I sent you of the house. It'll be a good starting point to where we moved and what we can do. Now, again, as you're pulling this up, I'm probably freshman in high school, so 14 years old. My oldest brother would have been 18 or 19 years old, maybe almost 20 when we moved in there. And everybody still lived at home, so you still had all 5 children, mom and dad. Bringing that up. So this is out. This is out in Malta. What's now considered Malta, Illinois. But if you look at it, obviously it's rural. So you have everything around there. It's got windmills, windmill farms. You could hear noises from miles away. You know what I mean? You're out in the middle of literally frickin' nowhere, right? Cows, you can hear all the animals outside. But just kind of wanted to bring that up so you kind of get an idea of what we were moving into. 2 stories. Downstairs, you got a kitchen, a mudroom, a basement, 1 bedroom, and a living room. Upstairs, you had 3 bedrooms, another sitting room upstairs, and then an attic. Okay. So kind of going room to room. My folks stayed downstairs in the bedroom that was adjacent to the living room, and then all of us kids stayed upstairs. The basement, just your average farm basement, concrete slabs or concrete poured in rather, and just dingy, short, maybe a 6-foot ceiling. Only thing I can remember we really used it for was in the winter time. If we had animals that were giving birth, we would bring the animals inside and warm the babies up downstairs, feed them bottles, what have you. The little mud room there, we could never get that door to stay on all the way on the right-hand side of that picture where the mud room is. Let me tell you, when wind whips out on a farm, it whips, man. It's just, and you get doors banging, shit rattling all over the place. Could never keep that door on. The room above the awning with the front door there, all the way to the left-hand side, other side. So that one, that would have been the room that my brother and I shared, and so that would have been where we had our experiences. My sister's room was the first one you were on, and then back behind where my room is, there's another bedroom that my 2 older brothers shared. So you imagine you got two old brothers shared a room, 2 young brothers shared a room, all kinds of teenage angst throughout this house with everything that's going on, right? But I'll start with the attic and kind of give you an idea of why and where we started to come into things that were happening in this house. So in the attic, you always get that creepy feeling of somebody's watching you. You're seeing shadows out of your eye. And mind you, when we moved in, just like a lot of the movies that you see, when we moved into this place, there's shit that was just left over from the previous occupants. So there could have been who knows what left behind from everybody else. So we'd always see the shadows. We'd always hear things moving upstairs. I was always designated. We still had one of the old antennas that you had to turn and to access it, you had to get into the attic. So I was always the one that I don't necessarily know if I volunteered or was volunteered to go up and move it. So I was always the one that was up there moving that and seeing and hearing and experiencing things through there. My dog's going to try to join us. So there'd always be, if I would go up there, there'd always be something going on. But mind you, it's an old house, so there would be critters that would get in from time to time. I've evicted plenty of birds. I've evicted
raccoons,
squirrels, a skunk. We had I don't know how a skunk got in the attic, but it might have climbed up something, climbed out of a tree. But there's been plenty of things that were evicted out of that place. So first experiences that we were having after coming through the attic and getting settled in, living there for a while. Again, for the lack of sounding stereotypical, you'd hear doors slamming all the time. Now, again, as I mentioned, you hear the wind whip through, but it could be a calm day, and out of nowhere, you'd hear one of the doors slam. Typically, that same door that we were looking at, the one that would never stay attached to the house. So that one would, you'd hear it slamming all hours of the day. Not constant, but when you would hear it, you would know that was what it was. So we didn't think much of that because of the wind. But what started to happen with the doors slamming, the front door, that side door, not like there's a lot of doors throughout this house, maybe 6 total doors in the entire house. So when you would hear a door slam or move, it was then starting to be accompanied by your name being called. So my mom first reported this. My mom's name is Mary. So she would say something to us when we came home. Hey, none of you kids were out running around outside trying to get in touch with me in the house. We were out, who knows where, creeks, far away from the house, and nobody would be able to fess up to it. Then my younger brother started hearing his name called, and my sister started hearing her name called, all at different times. So again, leading into some of the things that we're seeing this. And after you start hearing your names called, this progresses onto footsteps, shadows, again, your typical haunting as it would come through. So I'm going to get into now how we got the name Bluebeard for the ghost, Mother Mary. Mother Mary. She is definitely a saint to put up with 5 kids like myself.
My mom had three boys, so yeah.
Go ahead.
Let me catch everyone up. So the kids only stayed upstairs. Where were the parents staying in the house?
So my parents had, if you the door with the bush and the awning in it, right at the far right, I suppose, of that house. If you walk in that door, that's the living room, and they're right behind that. So they're on the first floor.
So they're below the other 2 brothers that are in the back room.
That's correct.
You're above the living room with your other brother.
Yep.
And then there's just the one girl in the one room?
Just my sister in the one room. And she had, by God, she's by herself. And she had the biggest room of us all. You would think that the kids that were sharing would get a bigger room. But no, she got the biggest room.
So and then, were there ever stories leading up to this? Like, were they trying to control the kids? Like the whole Wendigo story, or Wendigos, however you pronounce it. And they say, for them to not do something, we're going to tell this story and say, okay, look, if you don't do this, you're, don't eat human meats or you're going to turn into, stuff like that. So, I mean,
right.
So paint me a picture as far as your family life. Are they that superstitious, or are they trying to control you, tell stories, or is it just kind of your normal day suburban type of, or rural suburban?
No, I don't know that there was ever any ghost stories shared. My mom grew up Catholic. Not that just as far as going to church, or folks were very very religious. So it's not like they had a ton of ghost stories on that side of the family. Mm-hmm. My dad grew up a little bit more rural, wrong side of the tracks kind of guy. He's relaxed, laid back, came from a broken home, and so they just matched up pretty good, but you can imagine there was chaos at times with 5 kids. All of them, like my mom called me up when she was 20, or when I was 26 or 27, and it was basically to tell me that by the time she was my age, meaning she was 26, she had 5 kids. And I'm thinking, yeah. So, when she put it into that perspective, like I didn't have Avery till I was 30. And to think back at when I was 26 and to think how I would be with 5 kids, Jesus, that's why she's a saint, and you can imagine having 5 kids. Like there's not much that you could do outside of, you could have
I can't
a job.
even think of any age that I would want 5 kids.
Yeah. And if you're trying to be employed and you've got 5 kids that are all, literally within probably 9 years of each other, there's not much you can do for employment. So that's why I brought up the other places to begin with, is she was a daycare person. So she would have other folks that, farm folks that we knew or family friends, their kids would come over to our house for daycare when we were growing up. So, mom was always around. But again, I don't recall ever, trying to tell us stories about the crying lady or the boogeyman or anything like that. They were never really trying to scare us in any way, shape, or form.
Like if you got to stop misbehaving, or such and such Bluebeard is going to get you, that type of thing.
No, I don't think that ever came out. Like if you don't think that then the boogeyman's going to get you. My dad didn't really need to threaten with violence like that. If you ever saw the man, he's about 6'6", 260 pounds. Yeah, he wouldn't be shy about carrying a belt and
snap that belt. Boom.
Yep, crack that thing. And he's a mountain of a man. And I'd seen him, discipline my 2 older brothers, so I didn't really get out of pocket. Him and I were more of like a humorous relationship with each other, as opposed to anything else.
Okay, so your mom was the first person to notice something.
Mm-hmm. To experience the voices.
And son number 4 looks more like the milkman.
No, actually he doesn't. Son number 1 does, actually.
Because you're not 6'6" and 2.
Right. Right. No, I do look a lot like my mother's side of the family, though. I didn't get my dad's genes. My oldest brother is bigger than my dad, and my second oldest brother, he's about 6'7", maybe pushing 6'8", almost 260, 270. He's a big dude. And then my it was like giving birth to Shaq. Like, geez, man.
He ruined her from the beginning.
Yeah.
At 20, younger than 26, she probably had her first baby, at 15, 14, 16, 17?
She was just, I think, just turning 18, 17, wow. 18 years old. Yeah, so she she just graduated high school and met my dad.
Birthed a half a man, just so, yeah.
Yeah. Serious. And my mom's not a big, tall lady. She's maybe 5'8", 5'7"-ish.
Either that's thunder out there or somebody's playing basketball.
It's probably thunder headed your way. We were getting some decent boomers out here not too long ago, probably 40 minutes ago.
All right, so to recap real quick, you're getting the typical haunted house stuff, the banging on the doors, the names being called out now, and everyone's noticing this, even your father?
Even my father. So my father's, he's on board with it. The whole family we're kind of accepting of it at this point in time. We're not, nobody's scared off or anything, but so that carries on for, a little while. You get your experiences, your daily experiences and what have you, right? And like I said, you learn to live with it. Well, it had to be a few years that had gone by because my second to oldest brother, we're going to call him Nate, that is his name. So Nate moved out of the house, got married, and had a kid. And his kid was probably 2 years old. And as people do in life, he was going through a transition where he was no longer going to be renting the place that he was at. He was going to move back in with mom and dad, his wife, and the kid, my niece, right? So they decided to move back in, save some money, and by this time, I'm transitioned myself out to the little living room that's upstairs. My oldest brother is now sharing a room with my youngest brother, and my sister has moved out of the house. So there's the open bedroom where my sister was, my oldest brother and youngest brother sharing, and then me just, I'm kind of a drifter in my own house. I'm just hoboing wherever I fall asleep, right? Where I get comfortable. And the reason I bring this up is, so my brother moves in, Nate, his wife Tanya, and their daughter Alexis. They move in, and they move into the room that my younger brother and I used to share. So the one up above the living room. And, he remembers everything. His wife starts experiencing everything that's going on, and she never had before. But what really got us to open our eyes was as we would sit downstairs and, eat dinner or whatever, my niece, Alexis, she would start recanting or recalling rather what would happen the nights before. And, she was having trouble sleeping.
And
always
she's
would
2
wake
years
up and
old?
stuff. She's 2 3 years. She's to the point where she can talk. So I would say she's 2 or 3 years old. Not necessarily stringing together a full conversation with you, but she's enough to where she can tell you what's going on.
Nick. Nick.
Yeah. No, she's more so like, hey, why can't you sleep? And this is why I'm saying it. Like, so we would ask her why she can't sleep, and she would say the old man in the closet. So this was the closet in the room that my brother and I had shared, right? So she would always say, the old man in the closet, he wakes me up or he watches me before I go to sleep, trying to tell some stories about that. And of course, we know that the place has some experiences, but she keeps, telling us about this old man in the closet. And we try to comfort her as you would any 2 3 year old. You want him to fall asleep. You don't want him to think the place is haunted.
Brandy, whiskey.
Whatever the case may be, a little bit of the smoke coming from Uncle Nick's room might have mellowed her out a little bit, He's not saying it didn't happen. So yeah, she, and she to this day, Alexis, she's 22, 23 now. She to this day will remember and recall seeing the old man in the closet. And what really that leads me into the next thing of, again, how this person got their name, the old man in the closet. So I'm probably a junior or senior in high school. My brother has moved out again from the room. I'm still living there. My younger brother's still living there. My older brother's still living there. So now we're down to 3 kids living there. My younger brother's got the room that Alexis was in. My older brother's got the room he's always had. And again, I'm drifting up top in wherever I fall asleep. So my mom had a job where she would take random vacations, maybe to go see the mailman. Maybe that is where she was going. But she would take vacations with her work to the Bahamas for a 4-day trip, or, Vegas for a 4-day trip, or whatever the case is. And when she would take these, my dad would be left at home to watch. He's not really watching his kids because we're old enough to enjoy ourselves. And the reason I mention this because when mom would go away, Dad would allow us to have parties. So I would always have my friends come over and hang out. My place was the drinking place when we were seniors in high school, and go from there. Well, I'm having a party one night while my mom's away, and I've got maybe call it 8 or 10 people. And when they walk in, I told you before, my dad was an intimidating guy. They didn't realize that my dad was still home. You're a senior in high school inviting people over for a drinking party. People are thinking the house is empty. It's just you guys, right? So they'd walk in, they'd be cased up, they'd have whatever they were drinking for the night, and turn a corner and see my dad sitting on the couch and stop dead in their tracks, like, oh, hey, and look like they'd seen a ghost. Not that they did. And I'm like, hey, my dad's cool, come on in. Well, my dad would start playing games with them, like, pointing out who's gonna get sick, or things like that. He was just pretty laid back and went with the conversation. But he would rather us party at the house and take the keys from everybody and tell the parents that they were hanging out with us than, support anybody going out driving and drinking. So, point to that is, whomever came had to stay the night. So there was times where there was 8 to 10 people, my buddies, staying the night at the house. My younger brother was fine with it. He was a sophomore in high school, so he was cool hanging out with the older kids. And my older brother, if he was there, he'd just hang out and party with us too. Well, one evening, my friend Ramses fell asleep, passed out, whatever you want to call it, in my younger brother's room, Alexis's room, and woke up scared shitless at about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and didn't just pale. He was a Hispanic guy, but you could tell he was flush, and so the rest of us are waking up. Hey, what's going on? Why are you so freaked out? What? And he said, I'm not kidding with you, and I'm getting goosebumps when I say this. He says, I'm not kidding you. There was an old man with a beard staring at me from the closet in here, and he just reached out like he was going to touch me. And as he's recounting the story, all I'm thinking of is this is the same person that Alexis saw that would see her every night or nightly before bed. So aptly, as he was telling this story to my dad, my brothers the next morning and everything, he kept saying he had a blue beard. He had a blue beard. He meant gray, but like I said, he was Hispanic, so his colors were, he had a blue beard, a real bright blue beard. So we started calling him Bluebeard from that day on. So Bluebeard was then affectionately known as the ghost in the house. So anytime we would go ahead.
Ay, Dios mío.
Yeah. so now anytime from that point on, we would have, we would chalk any experience up to it. We gave it a name. It was, that was Bluebeard, Bluebeard.
And this is Ramius? What's
Ramses. Ramses. Yep. Ramses Areola is the kid's, and Areola, we always gave him shit, as you can imagine, for his name's Ramses Nipples. But, so this was Ramses, and he was, junior, senior in high school, to put a time frame on that. And so people would then either, one, not ever want to come over to my house again because, the ghost, and they were scared. Or
because Ramses has seen the Bluebeard.
Because Ramses has seen the Bluebeard. Now my house is known to be haunted through the high school as I'm going to school and everything, right? Well,
and Ramses is now covered with crucifix bling.
Ironically, he's an ordained, some type of man of the cloth through a church now. So
interesting.
He is he has found God or went back to God or never lost God, potentially. Hard to say, right?
Hey, holy guacamole, man.
Right? He's a good guy too. Still keep in touch with him on Facebook, a couple kids. And I'm sure he would still be able to recant. He always wanted to come out to the house. We had cows. And he always wanted to come out to the house and bring everybody to try to go cow tipping. He was, one of these days I'm going to tip those cows. Now, I'll ask you a question, have
you had me at we have cows, so
we have cows. Yeah, have you ever been cow tipping?
I don't tip cows, please.
Right,
but I've been to I lived up in Roselle. It was farmlands out there, farmlets actually, and my best friend back in the day, they had cows, and we would go out there and say, "Come boss, come bell," so all that stuff. So and I baled some hay back in the day.
Oh, baling hay will get you strong, man. Like
once. Yeah, that's farmers may not look good, but they're probably the strongest people on the earth. Except for Nick.
I don't know what happened there. I went to go get some water and it got it.
You were tipping a cow or something over there.
Yeah, I talked about the cow tipping, and it went that way. I know.
Hold on, let me go to the refrigerator and tip over my carton of milk.
So I'm taking a drink of water. That's what I was going.
When you take a drink, we want to say hi to Greg, say hi to Laura and Stan. Stan, long time, buddy. We met Laura and I met Stan, who's watching today in Bardstown, Kentucky. And they were out there ghost hunting as well. We had a great night with Stan and Jane at the time. So, yeah. What's up, Stan? Long time, buddy.
All right. How are you, my friend? Right. Well, the reason I brought up cow tipping was because it's actually not possible. Cows don't sleep standing up. Now, not possible is maybe the wrong term. It's not probable. People think cows sleep standing up and you can just get behind him on your arms and knock him over. You can't do that. I'm here to tell you that cow, one, will know you're coming, even if it was standing up. And number two, you wouldn't want that cow landing on you or coming anywhere near you in the first place.
So you can't move them. You can't. See what I did? This,
I see what you did there.
Pretty cheesy. Get it?
That's a cheesy joke.
We're here all night. So,
Right.
So back to the shadowy presence in the closet. Some serial killer with a Bluebeard. All right, go ahead.
And that's where we are at this moment. So, okay, my oldest brother, again, he's what I'm going to call, he might have narcolepsy. He can fall asleep anywhere. And the reason I bring up the fact that he can fall asleep because he's a hard sleeper. Now, again, it's me, his brother, and my youngest brother all staying upstairs at this time. And you can imagine, again, we pull pranks. There's some fighting, etc., that goes on throughout the house. But
he cut off. The ghost of Bluebeard is haunting Nick's microphone or computer. It's following him. So next, I'm gonna assume that your oldest brother, being bigger than your dad, probably suffers some sleep apnea, and that's probably where he falls asleep time because he doesn't get a full night's sleep. Just gonna put that out there. I'm not a doctor, but I play one on. No, I don't. And for the crew out here, how come all the ghosts are in closets? Seriously, there's a man in the closet. There's always a ghost in the closet. Why are the ghosts in the closet? They're always in the closet. Are they hiding? I mean, just get some opinions here in the chat. Here. What are your thoughts on ghosts always appearing in the closet? So I don't have a theory on that, other than they're maybe hiding, but that's typical of what's going on in stories and Hollywood. Is ghosts always are in the closet?
Seriously, there's ghosts everywhere, man. In my microphone, they're interrupting what I got going on. I hope this works.
Well, I know the storm is coming because I still hear bowling alley up outside or something. But I did address the chat to see if they have any theories on why ghosts are always in the closet. So we'll see if anyone responds to that question.
Right. Hey, that goes back to the paranormal streakers. Wasn't there ghosts in the closet coming out of the closet?
I knew it.
Right. I just wanted to recall the story of my oldest brother having narcolepsy, and hopefully you can hear me okay.
And I did reference to that too. He may have had sleep apnea, or still does, because him being a bigger guy, probably just didn't get a full night's sleep, therefore napping throughout the day.
That makes sense. He has always had like the dad or the grandpa vibe where he can just fall asleep, and that does make sense. He probably does have sleep apnea. So he obviously of sleeping, and I don't know if the sleep apnea has anything to do with that, but he would always put the blankets or the covers all the way over his head. Avery does this from time to time too, but I find it weird, and I can't breathe. I can never breathe in my own hot air. But he's done that since as long as I've known the guy, so he always sleeps pulled up and over his head. And he had remembered I sleep, he felt like somebody had just jumped on the bed and started pushing the down around him, just kind of like it was me or my younger brother pulling the blankets down, almost like they do in Full Metal Jacket and hitting him with the soap or something. Like that's what he was. So he throws the covers off him, springs up, and he's looking around to see which one of us he's going to have to beat up. And neither one of us were even in the house. So, he chalked it up to Bluebeard. But when I was asking him what his biggest recollection was, that was the one he felt that he felt so hard, like we were holding him down. Then when he got up, there was nobody there. The youngest brother, we'll go into his story and what he's got from there. So he moved. Let's get into his personality first before I go into that. Him and I,
the little brother,
the youngest brother. He's now a grade school teacher in Chicago. Teaches Spanish.
Good.
Ramses.
God bless him.
Dios mío. So he teaches Spanish, and when him and I share, we butted heads a little bit, but when we really joined in and got along was honestly when we started sharing a little wacky tobacco. Like he had gotten to the age where he was like 16, 17 and discovered it. He mellowed out, started listening to the same music, and we got along quite well. So when him and I were upstairs, I'd play video games out in my little area. He was listening to records or falling asleep or getting ready to go to sleep. And this is probably 12:30, 1 o'clock. I'm enjoying that video game. He all of a sudden jumps up out of nowhere, leaves his room in a panic. Same room as Alexis and Ramses. Saw the entity in the closet. But he leaps up, comes out, and sits down next to me on the couch, and he's just the heartbeat going and everything. He's Nick. And I what? What's going on? I can't go back in there. And I said, calm down, tell me what's going on. And he said, well, I pull the blanket up, turn to roll over, and I hear these two voices in my ear. And one, he's asleep. And the other one says, we can get him now. So,
now this is the younger brother that already stayed in that room with you, right?
Correct.
So he's returned to the room.
He's returned to the room. He's made it his own. He's got, he's got up the flags and everything. It's his own space.
But now he's asleep, and they're going to get him.
Yeah, he says he's well. No sooner does he the words "he's asleep," we can get him now. He and I see just a mass of light floating towards us, come out of the doorway that he's at, take a turn to us where we are sitting in the room upstairs. We experienced the floating light, the whatever you want to call it, the energy coming to us. And, we both froze up. It disappeared right before it had gotten to where we were, but we both, kind of chalked it up. Hey, that was Bluebeard. He's coming out to say hello. Right. Now, I bring that up because we've gotten older. We always like to sit around, reminisce, and tell stories. Bluebeard stories. And about my brother was coming into town for, I think my mom had just beat cancer, and we were doing a celebration. He was going to stay the night at the farmhouse and enjoy that, right? So we're sitting around sharing stories like we do, and he's telling us about that same evening. And he said, it's been a while, but, and then he repeated the story. When I went to sleep, they were telling me he's asleep, we can get him, right? So we all said, okay. Well, anyway, so next morning, hey, we're zoomed in now, everybody. He wakes up the next morning, and he calls me up, and he says, Nick, you're not going to believe this. And I'm like, what? And he says, I fell asleep in the old room at the farmhouse. That same voice whispered in my head, said, it has been a while, hasn't it?
Wow.
He got up, beat feet, said, fuck this, I'm not staying here. And he hasn't stayed at. He didn't even stay that same night, went and got a hotel room, said, I'm not going down that path. Right. So this is in that same room where they saw the old man Saw the ghost of Bluebeard, where we saw the thing coming out of there. I mean, that was of a room right there.
So where's the closet at? In the corner here, on this side, or on the other side?
It's right in the middle, and it almost like, so if you can imagine, the room that my sister stayed in, and the room that my brother and I stayed in, sandwiched each other. Right. So then my sister's closet to the wall that you can see, and ours was closer to the hallway on the inside. So it's right in the center of that wall, and almost directly in the same stair path. If you were to walk out that closet that's in that room and just walk straight up into the attic, where I always experienced, a lot of stuff up there. So it's got almost that window that you've got the mouse on is almost directly above where those closets.
So the attic, was that like a playroom up there? Did you fix it up where people could hang out at, or?
No, it was. It looked like, honestly, it had turned into other things that had been there for however long the farm had been there. Now,
so why would you be up there?
Just, like I said, to catch critters, move the antenna for the TV. That's where. Yeah, so I would be up. Have to go up there for what? I wouldn't have to. I was volunteered to go up there, but so I told, that's a real good way to put it. But I always liked going through all the stuff. Like, I'm very good at pretending like I'm working. I don't take the work on the farm, so I would pretend a lot of the time that I was up there turning the antenna, when really I was just going through some of the relics and stuff that were left behind on the farm. And hear my dad downstairs screaming, more to the left. And I wouldn't even be moving. I wouldn't have moved it in like 5 minutes. It just keep, stringing that along. So the conclusion of where this is going, where I was trying to look for the history, and what I had found during the history was the only other person that we knew on record that lived there was a gentleman and his wife by the name of Gary Espy. And Gary is, or was, I don't know if he's retired now, but he was, at least at this point, a DeKalb County sheriff.
I was just going to say a
trustworthy guy, and then there's a reason I say that too.
I was just going to say,
yeah, he was a policeman. Yep. So he was. Yep. So he was a sheriff, and my mom and dad actually went to school with him. My mom graduated, same year, within a year, and when we met him again or saw him again, going back to the farm, growing up on the farm, we raised cattle, pigs, hogs, whatever, and we took them to county fair to show them. And so we would take them to whatever county fair we were going to, and Mr. Espy and his wife were walking through the Sandwich Fair in Sandwich, Illinois, and saw my folks with our cows at the show, whatever we were doing, and started exchanging, how you been, where you been a long time since school. And somehow they got on the point of where my folks were living now, and my mom told him where we were living, and he said, "Oh, no shit, I lived there before you guys." So, then they get the whole, "Oh, hey, it's small world and whatnot." As he's getting ready to part ways and, carry on with his day, he looks back at my mom and says, "Oh, by the way, is the house still haunted?" And, my mom was like, "Wait, what? How are you going to throw that?" So he said, "Yeah, is the house still haunted?" And, then he started giving his accounts of what he had seen and what he had experienced. A lot of it matched up. The voices, the footsteps, your typical hauntings. So when we gave him the description of Bluebeard, that's again why I was disappointed trying to figure out what it was, who it was, because Bluebeard seemed to have no relation to him, had to have been there before him, seemed to be the same thing. So late breaking, as did reach back to let me know that the property that they are on prior to being bought by them and being owned by the bank was Del Monte. So Del Monte Farms, the Del Monte production, they had owned it as one of their production farms and would house, migrant workers or people who were farm workers through there. So that could be, no pun intended, that could be a needle in a haystack trying to figure out who might have, could have left the properties, could have passed away there. I leave that as a homework assignment for, folks that are watching us today, if they wanted to try to find some, or me to, get with Tim, see what I could find on the property residents. Now, last but certainly not least, on that same token, there was people at the Malta Library that were trying to say that the land that it is on was originally a cemetery. I say Milton because Milton was the name of Malta before it was Malta. And then when they incorporated or changed it to Malta, they had moved the plots or whatever cemetery they may have had in that area to the now Afton Cemetery, which is about 1.5 miles away from the property where it's at now. There it is. And I had taken the picture from the outside or from the inside looking out.
I flipped it. I flipped it so people could read it.
All right. So yeah, and that property, like I said, I could probably spend years going through all of those folks to see where any of them were from or if any of them are connected. But that's where.
So how far away is this? How far away is this from the home?
Oh, that is probably. It's probably no more than 2 miles away from the house, as the crow flies.
Always as the crow flies.
Always is.
So
I mean, it could be walking distance, but I'd walk.
So they still live there now?
Yes, they live there now.
And who lives upstairs?
So nobody really. Bluebeard, I guess. Occasionally, my mom, my mom is a snorer, or my dad is a snorer, and or both are snorers. So if they need a better night's rest, one of them may go upstairs and sleep in a room that's quieter, I suppose. But at the moment, it's just my mom and dad. Dad's retired, and dad hangs out there all day long. I don't feel as if he has any fear in him as to Bluebeard.
Do your parents know what you do?
Absolutely, 100%.
And did they say never to do this in our house? No,
they didn't. They'd be okay with an investigation in the house. They probably would want to know, what answers they could get from Bluebeard. It's, to me, just growing up there, I don't know that I necessarily want to find some of the things that we may run into, and if I did, have to convey that to my folks that still live there. What I'm waiting for personally is, give it about 3 years. Mom's on the verge of retirement, and then they want to move off the farm, keep the farm in the family, but move off the farm into a different property. And then my nephew, I believe, is looking to take over the farming, because they've got better part of 150 head of cattle that they raise, both there and another spot. Hogs, goats,
holy cow,
chickens, holy cow. So they've got a lot of stuff. So what I'm waiting for is them to slow down in life, move out, and then when my nephew moves in, who's actually Alexis's brother, when he moves in there, then I would join him for an but I wouldn't want to scare mom and dad or have startle something up or anything.
Well, I mean, you could do like a webcam in there.
Hmm.
It's plugged in and motion censored, and just have it up there. And then anything moves, you'll know by notification.
That's true
One
too.
thing is because of the massive light that you saw coming towards you, and that only happened once. The light that was coming at.
That was it.
And do you feel like it ever possessed any of the kids? Because you said that it was going to get them, basically. So if the light's chasing you, do you think, since the light disappeared, do you think that light might have entered you or your brother?
Yes, I think that could have possibly happened even to my older brother or older brothers at some point in time. I do think that that is a distinct possibility. And the reason I say that it is because personalities, when you can tell, like, I'm a pretty laid back person. My younger brother's a pretty laid back person. Two older brothers are polar opposites to us. They're not laid back people. And when you can see
Different fathers, that's why.
Ah, my father's very when he has.
No, different fathers.
He's pretty laid back though outside of that. Yeah, well, yeah. The mailman, on the other hand, he was a prick.
But the milkman, he was laid back.
Yeah, very. So you bring up a good point too. Of, do I think that it could have possessed somebody? Yes, and I think it could have even done that to random folks that stayed at the house. I think it may have had
Alexis.
I could have done that to Alexis. I don't think it would have done it. It didn't do it to Ramses. I think it tried. But there's probably countless people that, well, I can't say countless, but there's probably a number of people that experienced something that I either didn't recall or they didn't say, or anything of that nature as well. I left my sister out of it because she had asked to be left out of it, But mind you, too, my sister, my younger brother, and myself, did play with, utilize Ouija boards. We watched a lot of horror movies. Our minds were tainted to that effect. Read scary stories to tell in the dark. Loved that type of stuff. So, we could have had our own influence on what we had seen come through there as well.
There you go.
But
so that's the story of gray Bluebeard.
Bluish gray beard. But honestly, now that you mentioned, though, at the beginning of what we were talking about, you mentioned his lore, Bluebeard, with haunted objects or serial killers or pedophiles or anything of that nature too. It always seemed to target young people in our house. So take that what you will off of what you mentioned, but it always seemed to target the younger folks than it did the older folks in the house.
Yeah. So when you said Bluebeard, that's the first thing I thought of, is that story, the story about Bluebeard and killing his wives. And the reason why I'm familiar with it is because in researching some of Harvard history, back in 1903, in December of 1903, the Iroquois Theater in downtown Chicago was caught, set fire and killed, hundreds of women and children.
Sure.
It's a huge tragedy that took place, and it could have been prevented. And basically that fire, after that fire, some of the fire laws are still intact today of what needs to be done in certain buildings. So so the Iroquois Theater opened November 23rd in 1903, and it seats about 1,700 people about.
Okay.
And they were having this the show was Mr. Bluebeard was playing, or Bluebeard was playing at the time. That was the play that
Okay.
people would go down there to see. So a young couple here in Harvard went down there to see the show, and I believe the guy was about 32 and his fiance was 19, and he was well to do. He was a respectable man. He was a teacher, a principal, and then he became in the business and he started selling real estate out in South Dakota. So he was, an upcoming person here in Harvard. And then when the fire hit, they went down there and, of course, they were killed. And I have a couple pictures here to show.
And Bluebeard had 6 wives while you're pulling that up.
I want to say 15. I think it was 15. And the youngest one at the end was kind of like, was the one.
15 wives.
So does teach residence lessons. Okay, so this was in 1978, kind of reflecting on the fire. So it kind of gives a good a summary of what took place. So it says the residents of Harvard learned a lesson in 1903 that would stay with them forever. The Iroquois theater fire, strict laws, as I mentioned. The fire caused the death of 602 people, 2 of whom were Harvard young people. Joseph McClelland, a Harvard businessman, and his fiancee, Miss Rena Knope of rural Harvard, attended the matinee performance of Mr. Bluebeard, a musical starring Eddie Foy. More than 2,000 children, parents, and teachers filled the theater because it was the middle of the holiday vacation. So it was like December 31st, something like that. So I know from reading up on the fire is like some of the fire things were not finished. I mean, they opened the fire door and there was no stairs, so people would fall down.
Oh, yeah?
And then, of course, over the course of people falling, the ones that were falling last survived trampled because they had the bodies of the dead to land on. I mean, like I said, this is a horrible tragedy. So it says here, during the second act, an arc of light set fire to the piece of gauze drapery. They thought it was part of the show, but of course it wasn't. And Joseph and Rena Knope were in the theater. They couldn't escape. And there was actually, they had to go identify them. So a group of men went down to Chicago to search for the bodies.
Wow.
And I know there's, I could follow up on that later, but I know they found him right away, and then they couldn't find her because someone had stolen her sweater and stolen her ring and everything. Yeah, so they went down there and they demanded, they were very forceful on getting this property back to the rightful owner. So they're buried right over here in Mount Auburn Cemetery. Let me bring up a picture of them. So when you said Bluebeard, that's what I was like, oh, this is
Did you know that Bluebeard is actually a Brothers Grimm fairy tale?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just learned that when you were talking about it. Okay.
So that's the young couple that perished in the fire. And they were basically the first row of the balcony. They had no way of getting out.
Do you know when this tragedy occurred, the date?
1903. It was December 31st.
Oh, wow.
Here, I'll bring it up.
It might have been
December
on
30th. It was, yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yeah, no kidding.
So this is December 31st, 1903. Newspaper, hundreds perish in a theater fire. 3 Harvard people were among the victims.
Wow.
So yeah, right end of the year, 1903. It was a holiday, and they were going in there. And let me bring up the screen here. So that's McClelland and Knope. and it just says died in the Iroquois Theater, Chicago, Illinois. Now on Find a Grave, you can actually go. If you go to Find a Grave and type in Iroquois Theater fire, there's a group that's just made for that, all the people that died in the fire. And I want to say that they're not in there, which is unfortunate. It's kind of like they were left off the memorial. And that's what I want to say. Or actually, they might be in the, one of them is, one of them isn't, because they couldn't locate her. And there is a book, like a thick book that someone took the time and wrote everything about it. And they don't have a couple of the names in there. Not everyone's name is in there.
And how'd you discover the Iroquois fire?
Doing the research for Harvard and learned that these two people were part of it. Plus, it says it on the tombstone.
Right. And it tied in Bluebeard. That's why
here it is, Bluebeard to close. So it tells you Mr. Bluebeard is now in its final weeks at the beautiful new Iroquois Theater on Randolph between Dearborn and State Street. So if you Google Iroquois Theater haunts, they take people down there in the alley where the bodies were building up. And the doors were locked, and they actually shut the gates so people wouldn't be able to go up to the balcony because it was standing room only. It was so packed this day, of all days.
Yeah, sold out show. Yeah,
sold out show, and 602 people, and they cut corners
as they always do. Money comes first,
and it's horrible.
Have you been to the Iroquois Theater?
No, I haven't.
You think does it still stand?
Yeah, it's kind of looks a little different, but the hallway's there, and I think you can see where the balcony was. I believe it's still there.
Yeah,
I know it's there, but it's like kind of different. I don't know what this is. It looks like a movie of some sort. What is this?
I would imagine that it may have its sense of residual.
But that was kind of like the scrapyard of today is the brand.
I love it though how you tied in Bluebeard into with a nice gruesome story to add on at the end of it.
Now, also in 1903, there was other mentions of Bluebeard in the newspaper. So apparently, let's see here. This girl dreamed she was Bluebeard's wife and hurt herself.
Oh, wow.
So in Crawfordsville, Indiana, October 26th, Catherine Kingery, the daughter of Professor H.M. Kingery, it's always the professors, right? Sustained a fractured arm last night. She dreamed that she was Bluebeard's wife and that the old tyrant had commanded her to jump over a bench and get the key to the secret chamber. In her sleep, she leaped from the bed and broke her arm. So come on, do you have Bluebeard in your house? I mean, did you jump out of your window when you were a kid at any time?
A handful of times I did crawl out the window and stay on that awning just because I might have climbed back up it and skipped school a time or two as well out of sight of my parents.
Yeah, so actually the Bluebeard was the first and last to play at this. Mr. Bluebeard would be the first attraction at the new Randolph Street Theater and was the last.
Wow.
Yep. And there's
Bluebeard. Bluebeard is a popular pop culture. I'll be honest. Growing up, I always liked Blackbeard the pirate. I was like, is that what we're trying to do with Bluebeard here? But no, that it aptly got the name from Ramses' description of Old Man in the Closet.
And also, Let's see if I can pull this up here. There was another name too, Alfred Knapp, which is kind of fun, interesting because it's
because
almost
the
like
other one was the same as.
Knope and Knapp. But this person here, let me see if I can share my this page here. Oh, I know. I got to do a separate page. Move to a different window. Technology.
It's the Will Smith ad. It'll get you.
So this is May 21st, 1903. So earlier 1903. All right.
Bluebeard was popular in 1903.
It says Alfred Knapp trial, June 16. The trial of Alfred A. Knapp, the Indianapolis Bluebeard, has been assigned for Tuesday, June 10th. So they're calling this guy a Bluebeard for killing White or something like that. Kind of gets hokey here, so let's see.
Yeah.
Knapp, who made confession of strangling 5 women and children, will be tried on a charge of choking his third wife, Hannah Goddard Knapp, and throwing her body in the river. So he is in 1903. There's a Bluebeard being mentioned here, and also the other one.
Pop culture everywhere, man. Bluebeard was very popular in 1903.
And then also there is a female Bluebeard. Bluebeard.
She would be the Bluebeard. She's killed her 15 husbands.
So this is female serial killer, and Prescott, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing that right.
Oh yes.
But she is known as the Black Widow serial killer. So she was known as like the Black Widow, but also Bluebeard references to her. So check her out, and
when my neighbor that used to live next door to me and has since moved out, we used to call her the Black Widow because legitimately she went through 3 husbands, all deceased, when she lived next door to us in the town.
Married deceased people.
Yeah, no. Well, shortly thereafter, yes, she married them, and then they were deceased.
That's just wrong.
Mm-hmm. She moved out to like Colorado or something since now, but Bluebeard.
Woman Bluebeard on trial. A so-called female Bluebeard, Frau Piscata, a.k.a. Anna. Her 5th husband, tollkeeper, caught her putting arsenic in his coffee. And remembered that her other husbands died suddenly.
I tell you, at number 5, she's just becoming complacent with her shit. Like, look, you gotta stay sneaky. Like, you got 4 in under your belt. Don't let it go to your head. Just keep being sneaky.
Well, keep in mind, you said you had
5.
There was 5 of you, brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm. That's just you
had one sister. You got one sister that doesn't want to be mentioned.
It's probably because she's the female Bluebeard.
That's why I didn't put my real name here.
Right, she's only on her.
She's going to be out on the search for Fresh Prince.
That's how you hunt anybody down.
She's gonna find Will Smith and get a good smack and hey.
I love it. No, my sister, bless her, she's only on her third husband.
2 more to go.
Right. Don't get sloppy, sis. Don't get sloppy.
Don't get sloppy. Oh my God!
Keep them in line. Okay. So, hey, tell me what you got going up. You got last Tuesday of the month coming up.
Yeah, we got the last Tuesday of the month. We're gonna hang out at the lab. We got a couple new people that's hovering around our team that's interested in what we do. So if you're not busy, come on up. There's Brad out in Loves Park area, Rockford area, and then there's Amber in the DeKalb area. So I haven't met Amber yet, but she's already
Brad
been
and Amber?
on. Brad, what?
Brad and Amber. Right. She's already been on investigation. That's good. Busted her chops. That's
Yep, she's already she hooked up. I had her hook up with another team, and they went to Missouri State Penitentiary.
Wow.
Yep. So she's gonna be there. They said they're gonna be there, so looking forward to meeting, getting them together, see their input on what's going on in the paranormal world.
Perfect. You got any flea markets or anything coming up this weekend?
Flea markets this weekend. I'm actually getting out of the flea markets business for a year or so.
Oh, no, never mind.
Because well, they're gonna up the rent, and I kind of want my summer off in the weekends. And I got the part-time job, so I work every other weekend, so it'll kind of free up those weekends. Kind of get something different going on here. So
sure, that makes sense. Still gonna work to clean out the units, right?
Yeah, that's always because we still got to do that regardless. But this is a map of our little farm area here.
Wait, what do you got a map of this Malta?
Yeah,
I'm gonna draw you in actually closer to.
It's Fairdale.
See if you can find. I'm gonna put you on a hunt. It's in the close area. See if you can find Elva, Illinois.
Elva?
Yeah, ELVA.
ELVA.
V as in Victor.
V as in Vice.
Yeah, there you go. Elva, Illinois.
Okay.
So from Elva, if you go straight north.
Well, what's up in Elva?
It's kitty corner to where my folks live. Like when I say we're rural Malta, we are rural Malta. So Elva is the next. It's not even
Waterman.
Next establishment.
So go up Waterman.
That's Waterman Road.
Yeah.
Take Waterman to Perry.
It stopped.
Okay. Let me make my screen bigger. So they're on Anderlin. If you take Elva, go back to Elva. Center your map. And if you let's see, northeast, west. Head west.
This way?
Yep.
Northeast we go?
No, just head west.
Head west.
Yep. Keep going.
I'm not seeing any crap.
Nope, keep going. Crop circles, okay. A little bit further. Elva's going to turn into Anderlin. Now go south.
Is that it?
Nope, the one right there.
This one?
Yep.
crop circles. Yeah, this is all your land?
Yeah. And now, mind you, if you zoom back out, or one or the other, that area around it, where your mouse is. So Del Monte, they used to own all that, and that's one of the farms that they would house the folks in.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's rural.
Yeah, my dad lived out in Mendota, and he did the Monte's huge out there.
Okay. I mean,
So
so
you're by
when you
Deep
look
Creek
where your mouse
Airport?
is, yeah, when you look where your mouse is there, where it was, and then go all the way, scroll back out, and you see where Malta actually, like where they consider it Malta on the map. It's
And there's
quite far out.
Monsanto.
Yeah, I worked there with my mom and
That's where
my
you
sister.
work,
Yep. My mom still works there.
Lambs
That's where she's
for
going to
sale.
retire from.
Lambs for sale.
Yeah,
What's a
we
pet
bought a
motel?
couple of lambs from there.
There's a pet motel.
Yeah. Mind you, you're covering a good spread of
There's Alva.
Monsanto's down in Waterman. There's Elva. Now my brother Nate, who is Lexi's dad, lives in Elva, and that's his son, my nephew, that's going to move into the farm after my folks retire.
There's your Blue Hills. That's where Bluebeard was originally from.
You'll also see Afton Forest Preserve right there by your cursor to the. It's going to be to the east.
The winery. I've seen that place because my buddy lived in Caneville.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, often Forest Preserve.
That's where the first house that I grew up at was right across the street from that.
So there you go.
There you go.
So earlier, Greg wanted you to update on the bass fishing.
Oh man. I think the bass are done spawning, at least from what I can tell. But we were taking advantage of them hot and heavy. I went to the park, Rotary Park down the street where I caught the catfish the last time. Caught a decent sized bass out of there. Went down to Shabana Lake State Park and caught only one fish actually out of that entire lake. I saw people pulling in perch and other stuff, but I caught a bass that was probably the size of my forearm, big mouth. Only fish, like I said, I caught,
Guppy?
But yeah,
Size
guppy.
of your arm, guppy.
Right. Caught it with a worm. Handled that. But like I say, I think the bass are done spawning. I'm going to have to try to transition to something else now in the area. Because I was bluegill and panfish, so nothing huge at the moment. But I got a camping excursion up to Scales Mound, Illinois this weekend. Family friend owns about 70 acres up there, and we just go out and hang out and set up campers, tents, fish, whatever we want to do, really. Yeah, ride four-wheelers. Good times.
Well, let me check my mail for my invite.
Yeah. Go to the mailbag. It's in there.
Yeah.
Right. You may be able to find it in there, but
I got that mailer domain.
Yeah. It's return mail. I don't know.
Email doesn't exist anymore. Thanks, appreciate it.
Got any investigations coming up?
No. But I wanted to go back to the write-up that I put out here for the somewhere along rural Lincoln Highway. 2 men in a pickup truck. Pickup pulled off the road. They were drawn to an old farmhouse that blended with the night sky. Hey, that was pretty good, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was my poetic muse.
It blend in.
This is where we see it, spoke the taller, less attractive man. The one you call Bluebeard, the older, wiser, young-looking fellow replied. That's the one. Everyone in our family has seen him for more than 40 years. That is what I said. The whole family, children as young as 2 and elders as old as 70, have reported seeing the same man. Bluebeard? Well,
Bluebeard.
if you turn in next Thursday, I will tell you the tale of Bluebeard. I thought that was great.
That is awesome. That's a fantastic. That was a fantastic lead in, and I appreciate you letting me get that one out. My family will like to hear the story recanted, and maybe we'll get some new experiences. Maybe next time I go over there, a voice will tell me it has been a while, hasn't it?
And speaking of next week, because of the holidays, we're gonna postpone our PP episode 11 and do it on the 2nd. So next Thursday, June 2nd. And then after that, we'll go back to Tuesdays. So because of the holiday, we'll do it on Thursday again.
Resume after our normally scheduled programming.
Get Nick time to sober up. So what's the slippery nipple? What's all that about? Slippery nipple? Oh, no, sorry.
Slippery noodle.
Noodle.
Slippery noodle in.
Slippery nipple is a drink, butterscotch shot of some sort.
It sounds delicious. I don't know. I've got about 20, 21, 22 days left on this hiatus 75 challenge I'm doing. 22 days, and then I'm probably going to have a drink or two.
Is there a big red circle on your calendar that says this is when I can drink again?
Right, not that I'm counting or anything, but I've actually scheduled a vacation to go to St. Augustine, Florida at that time. So
are you kidding me?
No, I swear to God, June 17th.
By yourself?
No, the wife's going. It's her 40th birthday. So in her words, you only turn 40 once.
All right, if you're gonna do, here's a tip. If you're gonna do the lighthouse tour, and they're gonna say if you're a paranormal investigator and you want to go in now, because they'll stand out front and talk about the history and stuff. They'll tell the stories. Don't listen to the stories.
Just go in,
because they'll let you in first.
Excellent.
And then you could go in there and investigate real quick. Or maybe you go in and have her stay out if she wants to listen.
Yeah, she can record the stories for me. We'll match up and see what happens.
And they go in there and investigate real quick. And I'm telling you, there's no elevator in there.
So you got to make your way up.
If you're smoking, it may not work. But I actually did.
I usually don't smoke after I run.
When you get back, we're going to do a St. Augustine story because I love St. Augustine. It's one of my favorite cities in the world.
Never been. My wife keeps wanting me to go because of the history.
I love it. I love it down there. And it's so the lighthouse, like I said, get in there. But I went there for it's a sunset moonrise. So go to their calendar and see if that's about the time that you're going.
Okay.
Seriously, it's a sunset moonrise tour. So you pay money to go up there, and they do like champagne and strawberries and cheese and crackers and stuff. And you can just watch the sunset, and then you watch the moon come up.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you're in the lighthouse. So I don't know who's doing the tours now, but there was a gentleman there that has been the lighthouse keeper for a long time. And him and I just
Bluebeard.
Him and I were talking, and he actually let us go into where the light is. So you can actually walk around where the light is. So my shadow was casted on the Atlantic Ocean by the lighthouse.
Awesome.
Just picture Homer Simpson in the lighthouse, and there's the shadow. So there was a couple shipwrecks during the time, but I blocked it out from them. They couldn't see nothing. But anyway, but yeah, I was in the lighthouse.
It was the Pacific eclipse.
You normally that door's locked, but during this tour, he opened it up for us, and I was able to walk in the light. It was cool as hell.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But I've never been in the fort though. I haven't been in the fort.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
we're going to be down there for like a week, and we're staying, I don't know, right in between St. Augustine and I don't remember if it's Jacksonville or one of the two that's like right along the coast. Okay. Yeah. So it's right along the coast. So
Why aren't you staying in St. Augustine?
We plan to spend half what we want to do there, and then a feel for what we're going to do in Jacksonville.
Oh,
What's that?
why aren't you staying in St. Augustine?
Yeah, because we so again, you only turned 40 once, so we were trying to find a spot that had the accommodations that we were looking for, and we found a nice Airbnb that was hosting that, and it was, like I said, smack dab in the middle and a good price. Anything that had the accommodations that was in St. Augustine took advantage of the fact that they were in St. Augustine. So I didn't mind staying a little bit.
Are you flying or driving?
We're flying down there and then renting a car to get around while we're down there.
Okay. Yeah, you're not going to be disappointed. That Huguenot Cemetery, that's where I got the spirit tree.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they had some storms damaged out there. I know a lot of trees were taken down. And I believe one of the bigger trees actually fell down, and they used some of the wood for like coffee tables.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
Man, I would love to have that. But it's like, whew, my name.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. That's again why I'm staying in the other places, because it's a little expensive to, stay right downtown there.
Yeah, there's a nice little hotel right there that I stayed at, and then the Huguenot Cemetery is actually pretty quiet. In the morning, no one's around, so if you head out there about 9:30ish, there's no one really out there. The food's good. I could hook you up with some places out there. And of course, you got the St. Augustine ghost tours.
Yeah.
And they're also one of the biggest device selling. If you go to like staugustine.com, I believe it's just one of the biggest ghost device markets out there.
Well, correct me if I'm
envious.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because isn't it like one of, if not the oldest city in the United States?
It's called the oldest city, and they used to have a mill run inn bar right there, and that's where I got my rum drinks there.
Back in your pirate days.
Some girl playing the piano or guitar, singing, and get my rum drinks, and got my little mill top inn is what it was called, and it was tore down, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But any time in an old city like that, they have to excavate, so they have to make sure there's no bones or anything that's buried under there before they built up. To be honest with you, I don't know if it's built up yet, but it's been a while, and that was a fun place. And they have the old schoolhouse that you can go into. I mean, your wife's gonna love the old town because it's all these shops and everything. She's gonna go crazy there. And then you got the bridge, and then the beach there, and then of course the lighthouse. And that lighthouse, man, it's cool. So.
Well, it's so nice that she brought it to my attention too. She was like, I can't believe you've never been.
Yeah. Well, there's the Flagler College out there too. Actually, I got one of my friends from up here moved down there. Russ, he's down there. So I hate him now.
Well, you just have to go visit him, that's all. Stop by unannounced. It's all right. It's lifestyle down there,
Yeah, and I'm not too sure how far Savannah, Georgia is from St. Augustine off the top of my head, but if you have a day or two to go up that way, do it.
That was one of our choices.
Yeah, especially the Bonaventure Cemetery.
Yeah. We almost wanted to do, we were looking at a handful of places to go, and Savannah, Georgia was on it for like the full week.
When are you going? June
17th. So June 17th, and then coming back the following Friday.
So, and when do you start drinking again?
June 17th.
Is it seriously?
Seriously. That's why we planned it. Like,
you're going to sweat it off. You're going to sweat it off down there. But if you go to Savannah anyway, because it's hot down there.
Oh, yeah.
But
it's
St. Augustine, you have the breeze of the ocean right there.
Yeah, you're right there on the coast, so at least you got and you get a storm every now and again.
Yeah, you got that relief. So, yeah. Now I hate you.
well. On that note, I'm gonna call it a close and have me a cigarette and take it from there. But as always, thanks everybody for watching here on StreamYard. Thanks.
I'll get a postcard. Wish you were here, Dean.
Right. The weather is hot. Wish you were here. Or the weather is here. Wish you were hot.
No, St. Augustine's here. Wish you were here. I don't do hot weather.
Right. That's good.
Thanks everyone for putting up with them.
All right. Have a great evening.
Hey. Wow. Oh, hey everyone. It's Dean from Paranormal Pickers. Oh, I got the preview for the next episode. Oh, yeah. Here, take a peek. Oh.